Hello, friends. Hello. I'm back. So if you are going to join me today, please say hello. If you are new to my page, then let me know that as well. My name is Kim, and you are on the page Crafting with Kimber. This is the first live that I have done in a couple months. I can't even remember the last one I did. So I am excited to hop back in the game, and I have a really cute kit for you today. I did not post the link, but it is listed on my page. So if you are catching this on the replay, then let me know you're catching this on the replay. You are live if you see that red live button. Hi, Barb. How are you? So if you are interested in this kit, you can go to my page, craftingwithkimber.com, and it is just listed as a chunky Uncle Sam. I have it listed with my Cutting Club girls as the Uncle Sam with Let Freedom Ring, but I don't even know if I'm going to do that part of it today. So we're going to just kind of mess around with this guy. We're going to go slow. This may be a long video. I'm not going to be in a hurry. I'm not going to worry about those numbers. If you're catching this on the replay, like I said, let me know. Even if you don't have time to watch the whole live, if you're just checking it out, let me know. I'm trying to find a place to put my plates here. Let me know. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of things. So this is going to be kind of a combo video for the girls inside the Cutting Club to show them how I paint it. And then also for any newbies that might be interested. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Bridget. How are you? So inside the Cutting Club, what is the Cutting Club? So the Cutting Club is my files that I create for you. And one of the things when I started the Cutting Club was I did not want to just do SVG files because not everybody has a laser. I didn't start out with a laser all those years ago. I had a scroll saw and I traced the patterns onto my wood and then I cut it out with my scroll saw. So I wanted you guys to be able to do that as well. I'm stepping on a piece of plastic. And so what I want to just kind of start from the very beginning and show you guys what is happening. So if you do not have a laser, but you are interested in cutting your own wood, then you can use these files to do that. So you're going to get, inside the Cutting Club, you will also get, you will get the SVG file, but you will also get a PDF file. And so you'll be able to print out each piece of the project, and you use graphite paper, and I looked all over for my graphite paper over there real quick and I couldn't find it. So graphite paper you can find at any craft store like a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby, not Joann's anymore, or you could probably even order it off of Amazon. And what that is it's a paper, usually black, that you put face down, you put the pattern over the top of that, and then you trace it onto your wood. So years ago when I started painting, we didn't have a Home Depot or any of those big box stores. So where did I go? We had a local lumber store, and I would just go and buy a pine board. Hello, Leanne. I got a couple of the Cutting Club girls in here. So I would just go buy a pine board, usually pine. Sometimes I would visit a cabinet shop and see if I could get some alder, which is a harder wood. So that was nice to paint on. Hello, Donna. And so you can find a board anywhere. Most of the time, hello, my friend Barb. I haven't got to share my sweet bees yet. So most of the time, my projects will fit on one single board. Okay. If not, then hi, Tammy. Then you can flip it over sideways and you can cut two pieces and then you can put those together. So that's what I kind of did with this file. Because it's a little bit longer, I did design it in two pieces, but if you are using the SVG file, all you have to do is make those pieces touch in your program and weld them together, and then you can cut it out as one piece. If you are cutting it using a pattern, and let's see, which one of the girls, hi Malia, one of the girls, I think it's Debbie, does all of her cutting with a scroll saw, and she does an amazing job. So I'm going to quickly show you how this would fit together. I've got the first 3 pages of the PDF file. And what you would do is you would just kind of cut these across or fold it and make them touch. And then you're going to tape them together. Okay. And then here's the bottom. You're going to want to cut your papers. I'm just going to fold mine just to quickly show you how this works. And you're going to put them all together, tape them together. You just cut out Uncle Sam yesterday. He's so cute. I did all of mine in chunky wood. When I sent the SVG file, the instructions said to cut out the overlay pieces in 1/4 inch, but I did all of mine in chunky except for the mustache. And I'm actually thinking about, hi Nancy, good morning to you too. I'm actually thinking about going back and cutting the mustache out of chunky wood as well. So with the laser, I can cut up to 1/2 inch wood. Back in the day, we used to use like 3/4 inch wood. Okay, so you would tape all these together. Okay, you can see that. And then you're going to lay it on your board. This would fit on, this is not quite 10 inches, so this would fit on a 1x10 if you were buying a board. If you are going to be cutting this with your laser, even if you only have a Glowforge, that takes what is that? They're 12x20 pieces. This will still fit on there as a whole piece, so you can just weld it together. Hello, Janet. So like I said, I did design these in 2 pieces so that if you are shipping, it is easier to ship them if you have 2 pieces than to have one big box, because this is going to be like 16.5 inches tall. I do have some 18-inch boxes so that they will fit. But if you're just starting out and you wanted to ship a kit, or if you wanted to ship a finished project, and you could ship it in 2 pieces and have them glue it together, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's how you would do that part. Then you're going to get these other printouts. And this one has like the bottom of the beard. I try to label everything so that you can just, easily put everything together. And then these will fit together. Can you see that? Let me get these things out of the way. These will fit together just like this. So you would have, I'm going to hold this up and show you, the hat rim. I have those lined up. The hat rim and the bottom and the beard. Okay, so you see that? Now, if you are going to be cutting this with a scroll saw, here's what I would recommend that you do. I want you to cut the whole thing out together. So Debbie, I don't know if you already did this or not, but don't try to cut this yet. Just cut the whole thing as one piece. And then after you have it cut out, especially if you're doing it in chunky, then you're going to take it back to your scroll saw. You'll trace this line, and then you'll just cut this line by itself. Does that make sense? And then you'll go back and you'll cut, and then these will be in 2 pieces and they will nest together when you go to reassemble the project. Okay, Bridget, no problem. You know what? I'm going to take a little pause here. I am totally going to stop worrying about how many people are watching the videos, because I personally don't have time to watch all of the live videos that I want to watch. So I always go back and, catch the little pieces that I want to. So you go clean, girl, and have fun. I did that yesterday and I still have more to do. So we'll catch you on the replay. So, okay, so Debbie, that's what you did. I did put that in the instructions. Okay, so then you're going to cut this out and it'll all nest together when you go to put it together. Then you have all of your other pieces. I did cut my stars out in chunky. I think that in the instructions I did say to cut them out in 1/4 inch, but I decided I wanted everything to be really chunky. And then you have the main star, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. And then you have the traceables. You can't really see this one, but that's his eyes and his eyebrows. And then this you can actually just use to, you would put your graphite paper on here, line this up on your star, put your graphite paper on top, excuse me, and then you're going to trace this and you can hand letter it. So that would be if you were using your scroll saw or a bandsaw to cut your wood pieces. So again, I wanted to make sure that anybody who was interested knew that you can cut these out even if you don't have a laser. Teresa, hello, my friend. How are you? I'm glad to see you. Okay, so I went ahead and cut, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to show you everything I did. So I did go ahead and weld mine together and I cut it all in one piece, okay? Because like I said, I can ship it that way. If you did not want to cut this in one piece, if your boxes are smaller or you're using something different, when you go to glue your hat rim on, you can, that will hold it together, if that makes sense. Hello, hello. I know, I'm so glad to see her. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to flip this around and show you what I did here. So, whoops, throwing my things around. Okay, so on this main piece, you can see that I have some score lines here. And the score lines are for obviously your stripes on your hat, but also as a little guide of where you're going to paint your face. And I have my score lines on the laser set to a very light score because I want to be able to see them, but I don't want them to, you know, be really prominent and stick out and stand out, I should say. So actually, I want to turn him around so you guys can see better. Okay, so like I said, if you did cut him in 2 pieces, once you glue the hat rim on, that will glue those pieces together. And then here's the beard. So you can kind of see how this circle is cut out. And then this is going to nest together. There we go. It's going to nest together. It's going to butt right up to there. Okay. So there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. And then you have that cute little mustache. I even cut his nose out in chunky. I did cut out the nose first in 1/4 inch, and I'm going to actually glue that down. The same here. I cut the hat brim. Is it a brim or a rim? I think it's a brim. I did cut it out in 1/4 inch, and then I decided that I wanted the chunky. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, but I'm going to put this on top as well. Okay. And then we have all these hearts and stars that we're going to do something fun with at the end. Now, one of the things that I was thinking is that I wanted to maybe put him on a grapevine wreath. And I have a big grapevine wreath, and I forgot to bring it in here. So the one thing about this file, though, is that you can use it in 3 different ways. You can use it as a porch hanger or a door hanger. I would probably just put a hanger on the back and hang it on the little hook on my front door. Or you can attach it to a yard stake and use it as a stake by your front door or in a planter. Or like I said, excuse me, you guys, I had a really bad cough last week and I still have that tickle. Or you could attach it to this wreath, which is kind of the way I'm leaning, and we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The other thing really quick that I wanted to show you, I'll show you the beard, is I did take my Dremel. So you know that because these are cut with a laser, you're going to have that burnt edge. I want to paint this and just stress it, but I wanted to I wanted to lighten up that edge. So I did take my Dremel and I actually ran it. I'm going to show it to you in a second. I have a really wide bit and I actually did run it all along the edge of this to kind of lighten that brown. And then, I don't know, can you see? You'll be able to see it when we're done. I beveled the edges. Thank you, Malia, for sharing. I beveled the edges because that's going to give it a really fun, rustic, fun look. And so this is the tool, because every time I talk about using it, I get some messages about it. I don't remember the exact name of it. I got it at Home Depot. It is by Dremel, but it has a different name. It's super light. It is almost like my electric file at the salon that I use for nails. It is like super duper light. And it has, just like the Dremel, it has, what is this called? This area for changing out your bits. And I like to use this really fat bit instead of one of the really tiny ones. Yep, Leanne, I'm showing you right here. So it has a name. It isn't just a Dremel tool. It's because those are kind of big and bulky. They're more like, you know, this big, as big around as one of my paint bottles. This one is actually really small, very light. So if you go onto the Home Depot site and kind of type in Dremel, I don't have the box anymore and it does not say what it is, but this is my favorite one. So I have two other big Dremels, and now since I have this one, I don't even use it anymore. So I can show you. Let me plug it in really quick. And it has the speed down here. Hi, Robbie. How are you? It has the speed indicator down here. Has just a little on-off button. So I'm going to turn that down. I usually go to about 2.5. And I like to lay my pieces down on something because my my thumb hurts a lot. I try not to hold things. I can't really grip anymore. So I like to just lay it down, and then I just take my time. It's going to be kind of noisy. And you want to do this outside or in a very ventilated area because it does make a lot. It does sound like an electric toothbrush. It does make a lot of dust. So I usually do it on the counter out in the shop, and I just run it along the edge. And then what I like to do is, you know, I didn't do the top very good. What I like to do when I'm sanding it is I like to just kind of lay it down and just make little divots every so often. So I just kind of hold it in one place and let it do its thing. Okay. There's not really, I feel like the more wonky you make it, the more fun it is. Okay, so that's my Dremel. And that's what I just feel like when you use the Dremel tools. Let me grab something that I have not. Here's a flower. So you can kind of see the difference between the flower and then the beard where I have those fun beveled edges. And it just, to me, it just adds so much more character. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Even though the SVG file picture looked like it was complicated and a lot, this guy is going to be super easy to put together. Okay, so paint colors that I picked. I grabbed this True Navy and also this Too Blue, and both of them are by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to decide which one I want to use. The True Blue, or no, the True Navy is a little bit richer. It's like a little bit, it has more of a dark undertone. So I think I'm going to use that. So like I said, this is True Navy by Apple Barrel. I'm going to use flamenco red. And then, of course, we're going to just use white. Actually, I don't think I want to use just white. I think I'm going to use, what do I have? Let me spin my little dealy bobber here. I think I will use, what about marshmallow? I think marshmallow. That gives it like a, maybe not. Okay, I'm going to use antique parchment. That's what I'm going to use. So I don't want a bright white. This is kind of a, it's got a little bit of a yellow. Oh, I already have it out here. A little bit of a yellow undertone to it. Okay, so we're going to use Stylo Dremel, looks like it. That sounds right. That sounds right. So True Blue, Flamenco Red, Antique Parchment, and for my stars, I'm going to go ahead and use King's Gold. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me get all my dust off of this. And if you want to pre-sand your wood, you go right ahead and do that. I'm going to start by gluing my hat band pieces together. Not band, the brim. So where's my glue? Here it is. Because I just wanted that extra, hi Sandy, I just wanted that extra dimension in that. So I'm just going to go ahead, let me wipe that off and make sure I don't have any dust. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this together, making sure that I get all the way around the edges. All the way. And then I'm going to set it up here so I can see good and make sure that everything is all lined up. So that's going to make this more like a 3/4 inch piece of wood, which I haven't tried, but I wish, and maybe I can, and I'm just, haven't tried to do it, and maybe I'm missing out because I probably can, or I might be able to try to cut 3/4 inch wood with the laser. Because that was one of the things that I was really disappointed in when I very first got my Glowforge. Because when I was researching it, and I bought that clear back, you guys, in early 2018. And like I said, I've been painting for more than 30 years. And we always used 3/4 inch wood for our chunky stuff. And the Glowforge said that it could cut up to 1/2 inch. And it did not. So that was really disappointing to me. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and, oh, and you know what? I need a flesh tone. So I'm going to use, I should have one. Yep, there it is. This is my fave. It's called AC Flesh by Ceramcoat. And we're going to go ahead and start by base coating the face part here. Whoops. I always have my little chunks. Okay. So we're going to just use a smaller brush here and get started. And we're just going to base coat this circle because it's probably going to take a couple coats in there. So you don't have to be super careful to stay in the lines. This is more just a guide because I should have put my hair up. It's going to be covered up. But if there's a line there, then of course I'm going to try to stay in it. And I probably should have sanded this little piece because it's gonna have some texture to it. Okay, so we're just painting that space right there for our face, and not all of it is going to show through. Okay. And that's that. Sandy, I did say hi to you, right? I hope so. I feel like I did. If not, hello. You know me, I get to talking. Okay, and then we'll just lay that right over here, put that back. We are going to, I'm going to go ahead and base coat the entire hat in the antique parchment, because I can go over the red parts right over the top of that white. So I am going to try to stay off the edges, but if I get a little bit on there, I can always sand it back off. So I'm kind of starting in the middle, painting outward. And when you're painting, those lines may not look like they're going to show up, but I promise you when it dries, it will absolutely show. And then you'll be able to use those as a guide. Now, for the Cutting Club girls, when, I think I've told you guys this in the beginning, I know at least that's the way that it used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back in the Glowforge days, they did not, if something came grouped or even touching, you could not ungroup it. So when I'm creating the files, I don't group them on purpose just for that reason, so that if you don't want them on there, then you don't have to have it. So I want to make sure when I'm going around the edges that I do get those beveled areas, because we're going to sand those off, but I want it to look rustic. So I'm just kind of going at an angle here and making sure that those parts are covered. And then I'll go back up there and smooth that out. So that's going to take a couple coats of the white. Smooth out my brush marks there. And again, the hat band is going to be covering most of that, so you don't have to worry about getting right up to those lines. I keep saying hat band, it's the rim. Okay, now we're going to move on to, actually, let me go backwards here a little bit. We're going to come back and we got to paint our, I'm going to set that right there. We have to paint our mustache and beard. So, more of the antique white or antique parchment. I did say hi. Good. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. I like having these pads underneath here, but my wood snags when I'm trying to paint. But it saves me having to change out my paper so often. And I found another project, and Uncle Sam, nobody else's pattern, you guys. I would never, ever do that. But it was something that inspired me a couple years ago, with some chunky, primitive, patriotic decor. And I saw a Uncle Sam face that was similar to this. And I have saved that picture for a couple of years, and I'm like, I just want to make something like that. It may have even been like something that you purchased out of a magazine. I am stepping on a piece of plastic bag and my bare foot keeps sticking to it. Okay. Make sure we get all our bevels. And then we will move on to our mustache. And then we'll move on to the blue. So do you guys have a favorite blue I always feel like blue is kind of hard when it comes to patriotic. I used to have one, and I do not know how to say it. It started with a PH, so I'm going to say that as an F. It was like phthalo blue or phthalo blue or something like that. I think it was PHALO. And that was always fun, but I can't find it anymore. And I don't know about you guys, but the craft stores have really started to scale back on some of their craft supplies, and it's kind of starting to irritate me. So it's really hard to find cute scrapbook paper anymore, and their paint selection, Michael's is getting better again, maybe because there's so much painting going on, but there for a while, yeah, it was really hard. You guys, before I change colors, I'm going to just hit this with the hairdryer really quick. So here's your quick warning to turn your sound down, especially if you're watching this on the replay in bed. You have one called Ashen Azure from Hobby Lobby. What brand is it, Barb? Do you know? Okay, ready? Here goes. Sounds like TH. Phthalo. Is it? Oh, it's TH. Phthalo blue. Oh, thank you, Bob Ross. Why would they do it PH and then have it sound as TH? That's so weird. Because I know it's spelled PH. I'm pretty sure. Okay. A little bit more water. Azure blue. That does, the azure part sounds familiar, but I don't remember the ashen part. Okay, I'm going to switch this and I'm going to go this direction. But you know, the Saran coat used to be my favorite, and it's hard to find now. All of the stores kind of went to their own brand. There we go. We're going to be sanding that, so it doesn't have to be perfect. How's that? I'm going to dry this real quick too. Crafters Collection, and that would be the Hobby Lobby brand. I'm going to have to look. Our nearest Hobby Lobby is in Albany, and that's probably about an hour and 15, 20 minutes away. You've heard it as an F sound, and you can still buy it in the tubes of paint. In the tubes? What kind of tubes? We used to have a wonderful craft store here over in Newport. Years ago, it was called Craft Warehouse. And there was another one in a town a couple hours away. The town was Salem, and I think it's closed now. But you know, I don't know. I'm going to get whiny here. It just is so frustrating because I feel like all of the craft stores really have switched over to hardly any craft supplies. Well, not Hobby Lobby. They still have lots. And more home decor. And it's frustrating. And I get so frustrated when we don't have anything local, and then you drive 2 hours to go to a dang craft store, and they still don't have what you need. Oh yeah, it just closed too. So was there one in Beaverton, Barb? There was one in Salem, the one in Newport. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Now we don't have a Joann's in Corvallis anymore, which is where I would go. So there's I don't have any fabric clothes. There is a quilting store in Newport. It's kind of small, but maybe it will get bigger now that, that we don't have anything else. Maybe that will be the thing, is maybe there'll be some smaller stores opening up. Because our Michael's doesn't carry fabric in store. Oh, that's so sad. I know you can order I know you can order fabric online from Michael's, right? But our Michael's in Corvallis doesn't have any fabric. So it's getting hard. Like Liquitex paint or Hobby Lobby's Master Tubes. Oh, I'll have to look for that. Okay, rinsing that white out, and I think we're good to go there. And now let's go move on to our blue. So I'm going to use this True Navy. And yeah, it's really bright. I kind of wanted something a little bit, oh, it'll be fine. I was going to add a drop of black to it. Okay, I'm going to flip this guy around. And we will come down here to the body. And I'm going to just, I have to get quiet. I don't know why it is that you have to be, your Michaels had some cute, oh, so you do have fabric at your Michaels. For some reason, I have to stop talking when I'm trying to be careful. Just whipping that around here. This is kind of watery paint. It's not as thick. Okay, let me get rid of some of my bulk there and slide my brush right around. Zoop. Okay. So I have to tell you guys, Miss Barb has been keeping me in all of the fabric decor and has re-inspired me again to well, I don't have to break out my sewing machine. It's always out, but I have been dying to sew. And so I was thinking about, you know, sometimes it gets hard if I create kits, then I get so busy filling orders for kits that I don't have time to do other crafts. And then I'm trying to create more kits, you know, yada, yada for, so I am going to try to set aside a designated sewing day because I'm going to be doing another craft show in I guess it's November. Let me set that right there. And I want to do some fabric crafts, but yes, Barb from Chicken Pickens, if you guys have not visited her site, you need to go do that and follow her page because she has some of the cutest stuff. And she just made me some bees. Have you put those on your site yet, Barb? Because they are so dang cute. And I haven't had a chance to share them. I just wanted to get all of my gardening stuff done because yeah, I needed that. I needed to get all of that stuff done before I spent too much time on Facebook and the internet. Oh, my stomach's growling, you guys. I'm sorry. I hope you can't hear that. All right, we're going to let that, again, making sure that I get those beveled edges. So if you wanted to, if you are going to paint this kit or if you're going to paint one for yourself, then you can, whoops, I got a little bit of, you can paint the edges if you want to. I really always kind of like the way that it looks not painted. It kind of adds to that rustic look. I will share. I haven't taken, well, I guess I did take pictures to send to you, but they weren't great pictures. Okay, guys, hairdryer time again. So turn your sound down. 1, 2, here we go. I'm just going to get that dry so I can put another coat. So I got all of my garden beds done. I shared the pictures. And as soon as I got done, I realized that I think I want to add to it. I told my husband, I'm like, why did I do that? I just like ended it. And, you know, it goes, then it left like a, I don't know, probably like a 6 or 7 foot gap between the end of that planter bed and the chicken yard that's on the chicken shack with the cute little fence. And I thought I should have just extended that out. So yesterday afternoon, I kind of laid the rocks out, and I think I have enough that I can, left over from the original project. There we go. That I can extend that bed out. So I'm going to do that. Thank you, Barb. I'm working on it. It was kind of plain before. And we don't have any flat areas here for a couple reasons. Our property just isn't flat anyway, but when we built the house, there was an old farmhouse here that we lived in for the first 5 years that we were married. And then we bought a house in town, and we lived in town for 5 years, and then we built the house out here. So when the old farmhouse, I did want to remodel it, but my husband is like, no, it's too old. I mean, it had like single pane windows. The interior walls were solid. And he said he just did not want to mess with it. Because he was afraid that we would start trying to do that and we would run into rot and all the things, and then we would just have a mess. So anyway, when he leveled, we had the fire department come and burn down the old house, which was really tiny. It would have taken a lot to remodel it anyway, but he then leveled off the yard, or the part that we were going to build the house, and just kind of pushed a lot of the dirt and then just kind of, spread it out. So our front yard is very sloped, and yeah, so I just wanted to add some interest to it and do some fun stuff. Okay, now, whoops, I forgot my nose. So let's paint our nose real quick. And I forgot to glue the bottom part on that. My hand has been really killing me the last couple of days. Okay, now let's move on to our yellow. Paint our stars here. These, I was going to say I might do with a sponge. So I'm going to use King's Gold for this. And I think I might use a sponge. Let's see how that works. And I'm just gonna, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do yellow stars or white stars. So you could do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and use the yellow. And make this fun and rustic. So yes, back to the yard. It's been several years since I've actually really had time to work in the yard and do what I wanted to do like that. So I just decided that I needed a break. You all read my story. I needed a little break. I needed time to do some things that I had really been itching to do. And it felt really good to get it done. I got the rest of my garden planted yesterday. Now if I can keep the little critters out of it. We already have something in there eating the strawberries. And I know it's not the chickens. I think we have a vole, which my husband didn't believe me even existed because he's never seen one. But they're there. I have seen them. It looks like a little tiny hamster. I just caught the tail end of it. Okay, and then this big star, I'm going to go ahead and do, even though I don't know if I'm going to use it. And I did not use my Dremel tool on it, so that's okay. We can... I think I might have made this star too big. So if you have the file and you want, whoops, did I get blue? And you want to shrink this down a little bit, you all know how to do that. And my Cutting Club girls, let me know if there is anything. Okay, I have got to move this piece of plastic. I have a plastic bag down there. I don't even know what's in it. Probably some moss. Let me know if there's actually anything that you guys want me to show you how to do when it comes to the files. Hi, Mary Ann and Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. I'm glad to be back. Like I just said, I needed a little break. I was struggling with lots of things, but I am now ready to get back to it. All right. I can't wait to show you guys what I'm going to do with these stars and hearts. Okay, now I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut my sponge in half. Boop. And now we're going to use the flamenco red. And I'm going to, whoa, that is like soupy. Very soupy. Why is that so watery? And we'll do our stars here. Whoops, I forgot another, or our hearts. Let me do this star because I think I might use this one on his hat. And I did only do this in 1/4 inch. So I cut out an extra one so I think in the file, I think it said 3, but you can cut out an extra one. Sometimes we do just need a break for sure. You know, sometimes you just let all of that, you know, I don't talk a whole lot about my personal life as far as all the stuff that goes on, you know, just daily stuff, but there was a lot of stuff. We were going to sell the salon. Back in January, we had actually decided that we were going to sell. When we started the process of, we were going to sell it to one of the girls that works there. And then, you know, we were trying to make it like, you know, work for both of us, give her a good deal and let her dream come true and, you know, still make it worthwhile for us. Well, then in the midst of all of that, we found a major sewer line issue that was going to cost us a boatload of money to get it fixed. And with that happening, it turned out that we just could not make the original price that we had talked about work for either one of us. You know, she couldn't afford more and we couldn't afford to sell it what we had talked about or for the price that we agreed upon. And so we had that stress. It was fine. Nobody was upset about it, but we just had the stress that's still actually going on of trying to figure out what to fix because it's a really old building. And so there's, you know, city right-of-ways. There was a big tree that was involved. Like I said, it was a big mess. So you have all that stress going on. Okay, guys, I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer a little bit. 5 second warning. Here we go. Just to get these dried up. So yeah, there was just a lot of stuff that was happening, and it just kind of gets to the point where it's all just draining, and then you feel like I got to do this, I got to do that. Somebody needs this, somebody needs that, and it just kind of, yeah. And then Facebook with all of its changes, and they want you to do this and do that, and don't do too much of that, and then they're going to delete your videos and all the things. So yeah, it was time for a little break. Time for a little break. So I just decided to come back and do it my way. My way, my way. And I guess if Facebook wants to make it hard on us, then what can you do about that? Okay, I'm going to do one more little coat on these, and then I'm not really sure. This red is really runny, and so I'm not sure how that's going to work to paint my stripes. So I might have to painting those stripes might take a minute. So hopefully, I understand if you guys cannot watch the whole video. Like I said, I'm just going to worry about getting it done. A few months ago, I decided that I was going to try to do some short videos. So I would film myself painting and then I would shorten them up. That took me as long to try to shorten those dang videos as it did to just be live the whole time. So, you know, it's fine. I know that people will fast forward when they need to, and that is perfectly fine because that's what I do as well. So if you're still hanging out with me or have it playing in the background, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully the finished project will be to your liking. Okay, I'm gonna glue. So I had originally cut the nose out in 1/4 inch, and then I decided that I wanted it to be chunky. And so I am gluing the 1/2 inch piece on top of that 1/4 inch piece to make it extra chunky, if that makes sense. So when I design the files, you guys, I sit down. Thank you, Leanne. I love it that you love it. When I sit down to design the files, I draw everything out in Silhouette Studio. And I literally do start with squares and circles and all the things and just kind of stretch them to do what I want them to. And I can visualize what I'm making, but I can't use the program to make it look like what I want it to. So I usually have to wait until I'm painting it and putting it all together before it comes to life. Okay, I have a wet spot here. So 5-second rule, or 5-second rule, 5-second warning. And I'm gonna dry that up. Okay, now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with these stripes, because that red, that flamenco red that I was using is really, that's Tuscan red, and that's more of a, you know what? I might switch. I may switch. Which one is this? Spiced berry. My flamenco red is just really, what's Tuscan? Oh, that's the one I had. Is really runny, and it's going to, here, let me see. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get a smaller brush. You know exactly how, oh, I can't wait to see your pick. Can't wait to see it. Okay, so I need a smaller brush, and I want a shader. Let me use this one because I need that straight edge. So I like to use my angled brushes when I'm doing lines, because that line, or the edge of that brush helps me stay. Okay, let me think here. I wanted red, white. Let me look at my picture really quick, you guys, because I don't want to paint the wrong one. Whoops. There it is. Okay, it is red. Okay. Because I struggled with that. So I'm starting with the red, and I'm going to just here. Let me see. I don't know. Can you hear how runny that is? Thanks, Malia. I am just gonna do me. You know, I never started out in the beginning to monetize my Facebook videos, my live, because I started doing lives clear back in, well, a long time ago. A very long time ago. But I had to take a few breaks because, you know, life happened. My stepdad passed away, and my sister and I had to stay with my mom for a little while, and I had to pause. And then my mom was very sick, had to pause again. And I never started, even when I was doing lives back then, I don't think anything was ever monetized. It was just to show the kits. And so I am just going to go back to doing things the way that I did. Okay, so I have my line here. Now what I'm going to do, this is a skinny one, so I need to use my light here. I'm just going to take my brush and run the edge of my brush right up to that line. And I'm going to need to do a few coats of this, I think, because it is very transparent. Where's my line? It's very transparent. And again, I'm also going to have to figure out how I'm going to sand this, because oftentimes when you sand like the red and white, if you try to do it over the top of each other, you kind of muddle those colors together. Debbie, I cannot wait to see. Okay, so red, white. Now we're going to do this one red. I'm going to do a nice. So yes, back several years ago when I was first selling kits, I'm going to get my hair out of the way, and doing lives, it was all about the technique. It wasn't about trying to hurry and trying to, oops, monetize. It was all about the technique. And I just splashed red on my, how did I do that? On my mustache over there. So my videos might take 2 hours again, and people can fast through and watch the parts they want to. But I'm just, like you said, Malia, I'm just going to go back to doing things my old way. How I want to do it. Okay. Now this one's thicker up here. This is when I wish I had a table that I could sit down to. I like to stand up because I move around a lot. But when I'm trying to do like detailed work or lining or whatever, I really wish I could sit down. Okay. And again, you're going to be able to see the lines a little tiny bit, but because I set my score line to a really light score, you don't see it a lot. All right. Now we're skipping. And I might use a liner brush to go over my lines anyway. So if they're not perfect, that's not a big deal. Oopsie daisy. It works if you just grab your brush, and the lines are not perfectly straight anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to flip it around so I can do the other side of the line. I have a shadow, so it's hard to see. And maybe I'll go this way. Good. Don't make a shadow. There we go. And again, once we get all of our fleckling and all of our fun stuff done, you're not going to see any of that stuff. There we go. All right, one more little red over here. And zoop. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to sand this all up and make it look really rustic and fun. So once you get your lines kind of done, you can go back over and kind of fill those spaces. But if you're new to painting and you don't already know, then when you can see there, like I have a kind of a light spot in there. Don't go back over that with paint until it's dry. 5-second warning. because if you do that, then you just kind of pull the paint away and it doesn't stick, and then it'll just stay light. Let's see, I missed something. Okay, trust yourself, and yes, that's what it was all about in the beginning, and that was fine. Oh, thank you, Sandy. Okay, here we go. And I don't know how I splashed red paint over there. Maybe because my bottle burst. You like the light spots? Yeah, that's the thing. You can leave them however you want to. But look at that. I got a spot on my mustache. So I'm gonna cheat here, and I'm going to, I need a brush. I need a small brush. Here's a little one. And we'll go back over that because I don't want that red on my mustache. Okay. We'll let that dry. And I got a little bit on my beard right there too. I must have did that when I squirted it out of the bottle. All right, we're going to do a little bit more. And yes, so that the light spots actually do make it look really rustic anyway. I want to fill that in a little bit. I'm going to sand, but I'm nervous about the sanding because I don't want it to smear into my white. And sometimes it will do that. So a lot of times what I will do, if I know that it's going to do that, I don't really have time to mess with it, is if you spray it with a sealer, like an acrylic sealer, first, after it's completely dry, before you sand, sometimes you can avoid that happening, smearing those colors together. Because remember last year, I think I painted a little star frame in a frame. I'm trying to remember what that was. A star and a flag in a frame, I think. And I sanded it, the blue and the red together, and it turned purple. So sometimes that happens. Okay, now guys, I'm gonna be quiet for a second because I want to get my lines really straight over here, and I can't do that and talk at the same time. So I'm just gonna concentrate for a second, move my hair out of the way. This is why I always have my hair up. I don't even know why I try to have long hair. Take my brush this way. Shoop. There. One of the reasons why I love Rustic is because my hand is not as steady as it used to be. And I have trouble making my lines as straight as I used to be able to do that, especially when you're trying to do it live, because it takes a minute. But you can use, if you're really concerned about like straight lines, you can always use a liner brush to line those up nice and straight. Okay, good enough. And now, whoops, no, not good enough right there. I don't know why I'm worrying about this. I'm gonna sand it. Okay, so we're gonna leave that. 5-second warning. I keep wanting to say 5-second rule. I'm going to dry this. I want to dry it really good before I start to sand it, because if I don't, then I'm just going to smear stuff. So go ahead and turn your sound down. take one coat of that flesh. So maybe I'll wait until the end to sand my stuff or my red, and then that way I know it's good and dry. Look, I got a thick spot right there. Actually, if it smears, I know what I'll do, and that's a good teaching point too. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry for just another minute or two. I've got a really wet spot of red there, so I'm gonna kind of, oh my gosh, you guys, my stomach is making crazy noises. I hope you cannot hear that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll let that dry, that red dry a little bit more, and let's go ahead and start sanding some of our pieces, and we're going to kind of bring it to life with our rustic edges here. Okay, I've got 2 of these. That's the one I want. I have sanding blocks and sanding stuff all over my table. You can't see. If you guys could see my craft room right now, it is a hot mess. Okay, so I have a pretty, let's see, what grit is this? This is a, does it say? It does not say, but it's a heavy grit because I want to give my edges a really good sand. Okay, so now is when you're going to really be able to see those edges kind of come to life. Those beveled, sanded, dremeled edges. I'm just kind of turning it every which way, because I don't want to use this heavy on the top of it too much. I'm going to use it a little bit, but I'm going to sand all around the edges here. And I'm going to show you. Now you can see how all of that is going to be so fun, and it gives it so much dimension and character. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and sand it a little bit on the top. Kind of get a little bit heavy-handed in a couple spots, but not everywhere. Because I want it to look like it's just been kind of hanging out in the weather for a while. And this makes a lot of dust. I need one of those little handheld vacuums that you use. Okay. So you can kind of see what I got going on there. We're going to do some fleckling and stuff too. I've got a rag here I'm going to wipe that off with. Hi, Kathy. Let's see. You will have to catch the replay. That is totally fine, my dear. Totally fine. Let me get rid of some of that dust. Does anybody have one of those? You can send me a link for one of, I've seen other crafters use them where they kind of vacuum up their table. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more. Now, you could use another technique, you guys. I've seen a lot of the other crafters do, where you could do the crackling technique if you want. You can put down the stuff where you kind of peel it up. I like sanding. I'm kind of going back and forth here too into a couple different directions, so it gives it that really scuffed up look. So there are so many ways that you can make this your own. Set that right there. Now, since I've got my blue going, I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Now, this one's going to be covered up a lot with the beard in the middle, so you don't have to worry too much about that, but we're going to still go back and do a little bit. So the harder you push, the more, again, the more is going to come off. Everybody has their own technique, And this, I've just always been a sander, so I'm going to stick with sanding. Okay. Let's wipe our dust off of that. Oh my gosh. Definitely need a vacuum. A desk vacuum. You found yours on Amazon. I'm going to need to find myself one of those because this is you have a ladybug vacuum. Nice. Okay, I'm going to switch. Let me see. I just don't want to smear blue on this, so I'm going to go ahead. Oh, it's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges of my beard and mustache. And then we're going to also do some shading. I'm not going to do any brush shading though. I'm going to actually use the, use my inks. I think that is a lot faster, a lot easier. I gotta get that little bit of red off. Okay, so let's wipe that off. Baby wipes are great for wiping dust off as well. And I'm not sure that I love these or not. I do, but I don't. Okay, now let's do our little, why is my light changing over there? Did my light like went to a different color? My ring light. Whoops. Over there. It went from like a bright light down to a warm light. Hi, Natalie. Welcome. Okay. Okay, let's wipe that off. Okay, I'm going to have to look for one of those, a ladybug or a desk vacuum. Because I need one. All right, I'm still going to let this red, let me wipe that off with a paper towel. Where's my paper towels? Oh, here they are. They fell down. They were laying down. Oh my gosh, you guys. My craft room is a hot mess. I did not come up here for like a couple weeks. And so I just have stuff scattered everywhere. Okay, now I'm gonna attempt this. I'm gonna sand around the edges. I'm gonna try to stay on one color at a time. That is gonna be super cute because we put the white underneath it. Let me get the edge of this. We put the white underneath that red. And so that's going to come through. This little gator sander is, oh my gosh, it is going to be perfect. So it's just the right width that I can run it along my red. And it actually is chipping it away, like, instead of smearing it. So that is perfect. Okay, let me wipe that. Look at how that turned out. That is perfect. I enjoyed your videos of your... Oh, thank you, Kathy. It felt so good to get that stuff done. Really did. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit. I am just tickled with how this is turning out here. So if I were to go back and forth like this, though, you guys, I might smear that red paint into the white, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen. So I'm going to wipe that off, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do that right in here. So if you don't have a gator sander, you can always just take a piece of sandpaper. You can cut a little piece of it off, glue it or tape it onto a board, or just kind of wrap it like this and use it. Use a little piece, but this will keep that from smearing. I'll go this way. Just wanted to distress that up a little bit. It's not going to be quite as distressed as the red because the white is underneath it. Go around the edges. Just being kind of careful. Hopefully I'm not wiggling you. Okay. Too cute. Now, I like to wipe my sandpaper off in case I have any residual color on there. I'm going to kind of do my face here. Okay. It looks lovely. Lovely, lovely. Look at that. Perfect. You can kind of see my... Oh no, that's just where I sanded it off. I thought that was a line. But it's going to be fine because we are going to be flecking everything. We're going to be shading. So let's go ahead and wipe off our dust and lay this stuff out. Here's our... Oh my gosh. I still get excited when I see things come together. It's going to be so cute, you guys. I have to hold it up and show you. Can you see? Look at how fun that is. I love it. I love it, love it. Okay, so let's take our, we have our nose. We gotta sand the edges of our nose. Now is where the magic happens, in my opinion. So now you have all of your pieces base coated, and now you're starting to give it all of the character. And this is something that I will never forget. When I first started painting, Crystal, are you looking for the kit? Is that what you're asking? When I first started painting all those years ago, it was different. We did paint some rustic stuff, but maybe I just wasn't into that then. But I can remember starting to paint the boards, and it just looked like a sloppy hot mess sometimes. And I'd be like, this is never going to look like what our teacher. And then, you know, as you start adding all the shading and all of the sanding and all of the lining, then you start to see it just come to life. And I remember getting so excited and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I painted that. And I still feel that way. So Crystal, this is one of my kits. You can find it on craftingwithkimber.com. So you must be a newbie. So you are on the page Crafting with Kimber, and I have a website, craftingwithkimber.com, and this is my Uncle Sam. So you can go there and you can find him. Now, I'm going to be live again. I should have said this earlier on, too. I'm going to be live again later this afternoon to do the star, the patriotic star. I wanted to do those both at the same time in case people wanted to order both of them so that you don't have to pay shipping twice. But if you do, then I usually catch that. I usually catch it when people have another order and will combine shipping. So I'm pretty fair about that stuff. Okay. Love, love, love. Okay, so now we are going to grab my my little box of my favorite colors. I love Jumbo Java, but I also have the corduroy. What else do I have for a brown? I have Vintage Photo, Ground Espresso. That's kind of black. I do want a little bit more contrast between the beard and the mustache. So I'm going to grab these, and then I'm going to grab a finger dauber. I might need a new one for my brown. Oh, I also have Rich Cocoa. That's a good one. So, you know what I forgot, you guys? I forgot my little stars. That's okay. Okay, I need a brown dauber. And I'm not finding one. There's one. Let me test that on my paper. Okay, so let's set that out of the way. And I think I'm going to start out with the Vintage Photo. I'm going to test it out on my paper plate here. That looks good. So I'm going to take my vintage photo, and I actually, underneath my my puppy pad thing here, I actually have some brown paper. I think I'm out of frame, but I'm just kind of offloading my finger dauber a little bit so that I don't have a lot of ink. And we're gonna shade around our mustache. Actually, I think it'll be fine if I use this because it's going to sit on top. So there's going to be dimension anyway. So I'm going to go around the edges, giving it some shade. This is also going to make all those little divots and everything pop. I got a little heavy right there, but that's okay. So I usually just try to go in about 1/4 of an inch or so. Maybe I got a little heavy there too. So you can just kind of sand. But you can see now, I hope you can see. Oh, now my light got brighter again. What the heck? Now let's do our beard. I'm going to offload some of that. I know a lot of people use the antiquing waxes. I don't have any of that. I've always just been happy with my inks. So you use whatever you have that makes you happy. I have so many inks. So many. Okay, now I may even... Well, the mustache is going to cover. I was going to say I may even go in and kind of maybe add a little bit of shade inside. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I just kind of did a little bit on the inside, just really lightly, just to kind of grunge him up a little bit. Now, if I was back in my old tool painting days, we would shade these as well. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to just take my finger dauber and I'm going to try to go like right along the edges of where the red and white meet and just kind of grunge that up a little bit. Excuse me. And I'll kind of offload it more on the edges so I don't get it too dark on the inside. And again, my lines are still there. Like I didn't quite get met up right there to the red, but it's going to be fine. You're not going to be able to see that. So you can take your time since you won't be live. And I'm just kind of smearing as I go. And you can do as much or as little as you'd like, or not at all. You don't have to do that. But I'm liking that a little grungy. Oh my goodness, you guys. He's so cute. So cute. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Now I have to kind of put things back together and see if I am happy with all the things. Let's see. Perfect. Let's give our nose a little bit of shade here as well. And set that down there. Perfect. I don't really feel like I want to do any shading around the blue or the red because everything is sanded enough that I don't feel like it needs anything. I am going to go ahead and shade my stars a little bit. So again, I'm using the Vintage Photo. I'll go ahead and put these other ones away. Vintage Photo by Ranger. That's just what I grabbed and started with. So it doesn't have to be that. You can use any color that you like. There goes my light again. Must be some weird setting where it's a time thing. I don't know. Or maybe it has to do with the lighting in here. The way the sun is moving. I don't know. I don't know. You guys can still see okay. Yes, Malia, I will hold it up and let you see it up close in just a second because he's stinking cute. He's so stinking cute. So cute. Okay, now I have to decide, what would you guys do? If you were going to paint him, what would you do? We need to cover that for a second because I forgot to sand my hearts. Would you do him as a yardstake? Would you do him, or, you know, he can go in like a big plant or two. Would you do him as a door hanger? I was really leaning towards the wreath, but now I think I'm maybe going back as a porch hanger. When I say porch hanger, I've showed you guys before, I have a section next to my front door, in between the front door and the little windows. I have about an 8-inch gap. Okay. He's so cute. Let me hold him up. I can't go all the way down or he's gonna fall, but maybe if I hold down there. How cute is he? Okay, now I could not find my graphite paper, but with both of them, both of the patterns, and I will print these out, you guys, actually this part in case you want to use it, and send these out with the kits. I need to remember to do that because on here, it's really light. I did give you a pattern to follow for the eyes. I'm gonna wing it, but what I do want to do, let me lay him down and get everything where I want it. What I do want to do is give him some cheeks. So I'm gonna put a little dot where I want his cheeks to go. Actually, I'm gonna use a it's not a stencil brush. Hold please while my brain reorganizes here. I'm going to use this stippling brush is what I call them. Isn't he cute? Teresa, he's in the group, girl. You can print him out. I'm looking for a pink that I can use for cheeks. How much is on this one? Sometimes I have like leftover ink. So I'm going to move the mustache. And I do. I have a little bit of leftover ink on this dauber. I don't know what's on there, but I'm just going to rub some circles to give him some cheeks. And I don't want them like perfect circles. I just want to kind of give some highlighted areas. So I'll hold that up and let you see. So I didn't use my stippling brush. I used that. So I'll turn him around. And we'll hold him up again. And you can see how I just kind of dry brushed with that dauber his cheeks. Okay, now I'm ready to, I think, glue him together. So I'm going to make sure that I have, because remember that circle where his face is going to get covered up by the top half by the hat brim, and the bottom half by the mustache. So it's okay. You can just, but these two pieces will nest together. So these are cut. If you order the kit or if you do it yourself, these are going to be cut so that they fit flush together, if that makes sense. So you decide where you want it to be, whether you can make it so that you have a really tall hat, or you can move this up a little bit and shorten it. So you decide. There's no right or wrong here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my beard right here. Okay. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to use that as my guide to where my hat brim goes. Okay. I'm going to use super glue. However, because this is painted, it's not going to be as secure with the super glue as it would normally be. So when I get done with this, I'm actually going to use my nail gun and shoot a couple finishing nails into this. Hi, Cindy. Okay, so the reason I left my beard there was now I used that to secure my hat brim where it needs to go. That makes sense. And now I can pick up my beard and we'll do the same thing. We'll use the hat. So don't get too close to the edge here. You'll get glue seeping out from underneath there. And I hate that because it's shiny. And your hat or your beard is actually going to cover the entire surface. So you don't have to really worry about getting it in. It's not going to go off of this, is what I'm trying to say. Did that make any sense? My brain is going faster than my mouth can talk. Okay. So now those two are glued together. So what I was saying is I'll go back and I'll take some finishing nails and I will shoot the finishing nails through here so that it will hold it and make sure that it doesn't come apart. It is, Cindy. This is one of my new kits. I'm going to be doing 2 today. So I'm going to do this live and then I'll be live again this afternoon or this evening at 5:30 my time. And I'm going to do the patriotic star. So this is my Uncle Sam. And then we're going to figure out where we want our mustache to go. And the nose does not nest into the mustache. So you just kind of have to place it where you want it. I'm going to leave my mustache there. I'm going to glue my nose down. But I am going to kind of butt it up to my mustache. You could also, I put this in the instructions for the Cut and Club girls. You could also use a round ball if you wanted to. Okay, let's put that there. And then, again, because these are this is going on top of a painted surface, you could trace around where you're going to put your mustache and try not to paint that area. But I also think a tiny finishing nail like right underneath the nose would be fine. Hello, my friend. How are you? Okay. So let's give that just a second to all set up. And then I don't know, I'll go back and play with the eyebrow thing. I'm going to eyeball the eyeballs. I'm going to use my dotting tool or the end of a paintbrush. Look at him, you guys. He is turning out so cute. This is what I'm talking about. I can visualize when I'm designing him. Now, if you go back and look at the computer generated picture that I did, it does not give even close to what I had envisioned because I can't make those colors. I'm still looking at the picture. I can't make them rustic. I can't do the shading. I can't do, at least in Silhouette Studio, I can't. Okay, now here's the fun part. And I'm going to show you kind of how I came up with this idea. I'm going to grab something here. So I have these stars and hearts that I have had for years, like clear back when I had the flower shop. They were, I think I ordered them from a company called Honey and Me or whatever. But look at how the wire, let me hold that up. The wire, I need to hold this so you can see it, is wrapped around the star. And there, it's also wrapped around, I still have the price tags, wrapped around the heart. Okay, so what I want to do with this, let me go put these away. These are actually hanging on my wall. And so I'm going to put those away. And we're going to do something similar with the heart and the star, but I'm going to put them on top of each other. So I'm going to glue it down. You love his cheeks. They look so cute. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the heart onto the top of the star. There's no right or wrong. And then we're going to let that set for a minute, and then we're going to wrap those in wire. And those were going to be wreath attachments. And I have an old book. I don't remember which one it is. Did I do the wrong side of that? I don't remember which one it is, but I have an old book that had something similar to this in there as well. So we're just going to glue that on. And again, a finishing nail through the top of this would be super cute. And I have a third one. So what I thought originally that I would do with these, I'm going to put one this way, is that I would, if I was going to put this on a wreath, I would attach them to around the top of the wreath. But I'm not really sure. I think I'm going to put one of these up here on his hat. But where's that other one that I painted? I also painted this one. So maybe this is where I start to take a lot of time, because I really am not sure exactly how I want to finish him. So I'm going to ink my star up here. But these are the fun parts. These are the things that, like I said, this is how you make it your own. All the little finishing details. And I absolutely love it when someone buys one of the kits and paints it entirely different than I do. I love seeing, because, you know, we start with a vision and it's kind of hard to stray away from that. You have your vision, and then somebody will do something and I'll be like, oh, now I want to paint it again because I want it to look like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hold him up. Look at how cute. He's all glued together. I'm going to go ahead and dot my eyes and my eyeballs in there. So I'm going to use black. Here I have my just black, and I'll worry about the eyebrows later. I'm not really sure even if I want them. So I just have a couple little drops. I'm going to use an ink pen first because, or you could use a pencil. They're ready to order, Carol. I am going to do another live tonight though, if you want to wait, because I have a patriotic star is super cute as well that I'm going to do later on. So if you wanted to order them together. Okay, so I'm going to use a pencil. Let me grab a pencil if I can find one. I know I just had one the other day. Okay. So you can use the pattern that will come. I'm going to just take a pencil and I'm just going to lean down here and I'm going to look in and I'm going to use my pencil just to make some, I can't hold a pencil anymore. My thumb is so bad. And just give him some eyes where I think I want them to go. And the good news is if you use a pencil, you can either erase them or you can just reach down in there and paint over it. But I think that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to dip it in my black paint. And I'm going to come over here, move my hair out of the way, and just give him 2 eyeballs. And that's all I'm going to do. That's it. And because it's sunken down in there, I'm not worried about smearing it. Normally, I would do this at the very end because I don't want to smear that, but we're not going to be doing anything. Okay, so now what we're going to do before we start messing with our hearts and stars is we need to fleckle. So before we fleckle, we move all the things that you do not want to fleckle out of the way because fleckling goes everywhere. So I'm going to grab my old toothbrush. I have this one that I like better. This one's got really stiff bristles on it. Oh, hi, Angie. You're fine, girl. You can always catch the replay. And I think that I'm going to fleckle him in browns. At least on the, yeah, I want it to show up as brown on the, sorry guys, this is my ADD at work. My brain is going and my mouth can't keep up. I want to fleckle the brown onto the whites, and I'm looking for a good brown. And then I will fleckle the antique parchment onto the blues and the red. So I'm just going to make myself a little pile here. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that fleckling is something that I've always done. We learned this clear back in tool painting days. Thank you, Kathy. He is about 16.5 inches tall. Thanks, Debbie and Malia. Okay, so toothbrush with stiff bristles. Some people will use a fan brush and do the tapping. This is how I learned, and this is my favorite way. So you get your toothbrush wet. You load it with paint. You put a little bit of water. Now, a lot of water makes big fleckles. A little bit of water makes tiny fleckles. I like to practice. So I will get like a paper towel or use my paper. I think I can see on this, on the white part of this. So you just have to practice. You have to figure out if you're new to fleckling and you want to fleckle, you kind of have to figure out that paint to water ratio. And so now I'm just going to go over, stand back, especially if you have good clothes. Because it will go everywhere. I'm going to get up here on his hat. So I just used chocolate. Melted chocolate is what I used. There's no right or wrong. And I just kind of use my thumb and run it across I'm going to fleck all my stars too. Run it across the paintbrush and it will give you those little splattery fleckles. Some people call it splattering. I call it fleckling because I think that's more fun. My friend Linda and I always joke around about that. Okay, now one thing also about fleckling is that if your pieces are not sanded, now we sanded as we distressed it, but if your pieces are not sanded and you have wood grain, then sometimes your fleckles don't splatter. They kind of like dissipate and look like they kind of spread, if that makes sense. So just be aware that your smooth surface will take your fleckles better. Okay, so now we're going to fleckle with some of the antique parchment. So again, wetting my toothbrush and a little bit more water, I think. And I can't see that on there, so I'm going to use my brown paper underneath. That's good. Now, this is where I want to fleckle my, oops, see I had a big drop there. That's okay. I want to fleckle my red I want to fleckle the blue. It's not going to show up anywhere else. Let me go over here and we'll fleckle our hearts. And you just kind of go until you like what you see. And then because I have a couple, they dry pretty quickly because they're just little tiny paint splatters, but I have a big one there and I don't want to smear it. So 5-second warning, I'm going to turn on the hairdryer. So turn your sound down. I always say turn it down, especially if you're watching on the replay, because I'll be laying in bed and scrolling through Pinterest or whatever, or Facebook, and I will hit something that has sound and don't realize that my sound is turned up. And I scare my husband. Okay, you guys, he is so cute. Here he is with his paint splatters, his fleckles. He is adorbs. Okay, now let's put him aside and let those dry. If you have your sound back up, if you turned it down, what I was saying, I'm like, you're talking, and if they have their sound down, they're not going to hear you, Kim, is that I will sometimes be laying in bed scrolling through stuff at night. My husband's sound asleep and I'm just scrolling, and I will land on something that has sound or loud music or something, and I always feel bad because he will like come up out of the bed like, what was that? Thanks, ladies. Okay, now I'm looking at those hearts and stars over there. I'm going to leave a tail here, and I think this is 18 gauge wire. It might be 19. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby. I do also think that I have a few rolls left. I won't be sending this out in the kit because sometimes it doesn't get used, and it would be a lot if it wasn't going to get used. So I'm kind of looking over here. I'm going to wrap this around, or let me know if you want it. Leave me a little note that says, please send me wire. Okay, so I wrapped it around. Can you see that? And now I'm just going to wrap it around here. I'm looking at my pieces over there. Okay. And where's my wire cutters? So cute. Oh, here they are. Okay. Now I'm going to take, I want that skinny paintbrush back again. I'm going to use this one. Just grab anything. I'm going to use the skinny skinny paintbrush. And I'm just going to curl my wire. I probably didn't leave that one long enough. And curl this one. So you can do it however you want to. Those actually kind of come up around and swirl like this. I'm just going to kind of do mine a little whimsical. Now, one thing that I did not think about was if I'm going to attach this to him, that wire is not going to allow us to glue that. So we're going to need a riser in there. I don't know, you guys, what do you think? You think that looks cute up there on his hat? Like that? Is that cute? Do we need one down here? What do you think? Top or bottom? Either way, I'm going to need a riser. So I'm just kind of scanning my table here because I sometimes will have like a little container of extras. So top or bottom? What do you think? Or do we want that? Do we want the, I'm going to use this button. I have a button. Just a little wooden button. Let's see. I'm going to take a drink of my coffee here. That is really cold. Both. I think it might be a little much if we had it both. Let me look. Yeah, especially with them being on the same side. Yeah, I love that up there. It is kind of cute. But I also remember I have this that I was going to put down here. I just don't think I'm going to use this. It's too big. Too big. So let me see. I have some other stars over here, but they don't match. Or a heart. What do you think? You know what else would be cute? We could put like a little floofy bow right there. What do you think? I definitely think I want one on the hat. So I think that we're going to take this and we're going to put this on the hat. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, the wire here is not going to allow us to glue that down. So I need to figure out where I want to put that. And I'm going to use this button as a riser. I have two. So I'm going to put a button here and a button here in between those. I will send some little risers. We're going to glue those on. Put a little glue here. Stick those down. Give those a second to dry. So those are just a little higher than the wire. And then that will give us a flat surface and some extra dimension. So I think, okay, now I'm just deciding, I'm going to pull him down here. I'm deciding which way I want to turn it. So if I want it to go one way or the other, I think I want it to go kind of straight up and down. So now I will just put some glue on the back of my buttons here, or my risers, and I will decide, let me lay him how he should go, and there we go. I know I'm a little disappointed that I'm late with these kits, but it's only June 2nd, and you saw how fast it went together. So I figure if I can get these kits out in the next week or so, there's still plenty of time to paint him for a patriotic porch. There we go. I don't know if I even want to put anything down here, you guys. What do you think? Do you think a bow? Do you think like if I have some like red ticking and some blue ticking, we could like just make a little poof bow? What do you think? You tell me. I'm going to spend some time just kind of thinking about it. I think I'm going to be done with him for now. I think I'm going to use him as a porch hanger, not on my front door, but on the side of my front door. So I will, oh, some rusty bells. Oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Let me think. What if we put this one down here? What do you think, you guys? Is that too much? You tell me. I just, sometimes oops, my thumb is killing me. What if we did one over there and one over here? See, this was my bigger side though. But what do you think? And then we put some, you like another star on the other side of his hat. Oh, like two? You could do that if you wanted to. I think I want to think about it. I think I want to not get in a hurry because I don't want to, once it's glued down, it's glued down. And so I think I'm going to think about it for a while. So I will do these up like this one, and I don't know what I'll do with them, but I think they're freaking adorable. So I'm going to call this good for today. No, on the brim. See, over here, like this. You could do that too. That would be cute. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to spend some time to think about it, but I am going to turn him into a porch hanger. So I will send a little hanger for the back that goes on the back of his hat that you can tie your jute on. And then again, if you wanted to make him a yard stake, you would just get a pre-purchased. I can't send those out with kits because they're way too long. But you can buy pre-purchased sticks. They're a stick with a point on them. Usually they come in a bundle. I like to make my own because I don't want the whole bundle, and I like to make them as long as I want. So I will just take a 1x2, and yeah, I think it's a 1x2. And I will just take a board and make mine. I'll run it through the saw and make my own 1x2, and then cut a point in the bottom of it, and then it's a cute little yard stake. And you could, if you wanted to, because this says let freedom ring, I just think I made the star too big. So if you have the SVG file, you can stretch this star out. You can, redo the lettering, and you can hand letter let freedom ring on there if you want to. All right, ladies, I'm going to call it good. It is, that was like a 2-hour video, so I think that's good. I'm going to go out. I forgot to cut part of the star, so I'm going to go cut that. And I'm going to be back here again tonight with the star at 5:30 Pacific time. So that would be 6:30, 7:30, or I guess it's 6:30 and 8:30, right? I always get so confused with it. Eastern time is 3 hours. Hi, Denise. Isn't he cute? So I hope that you will come back and join me again. If you want to just order him, you would go to my website, craftingwithkimber.com, and just type in the search bar Uncle Sam, and he will pop up. So if you have any questions, just let me know. If I don't use the star, maybe let freedom ring on the brim. That would be cute. See? You can just come up with your own ideas and make it all your own. That would be so cute. You could just hand letter that right on the brim, and that would be so cute. All right, I think I need to go eat because my stomach is making some crazy noises over here. So you guys have a good rest of your day, and hopefully I will see some of you again this afternoon or this evening at 5:30 Pacific time, 7:30, and 8:30, right? Is that right? Okay. All right, ladies, thanks for hanging out with me today. I had so much fun. It's good to be back, and I will see you again tonight, hopefully. All right. Have a good day. Bye.